Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, so now let's talk silver. This is a jam-packed video full of information talking about what silver prices are currently doing. Then we're going to add on top of that and looking at where prices are heading. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, please like the video. I'm doing huge giveaways coming up, so click subscribe for a chance to win. Silver price forecast. Silver continues to struggle. Silver markets had tried to form a bottom for a while over the last couple of sessions, but on Thursday they look very vulnerable yet again. And yes, this article was published today, February 23rd. So now let's look at the price of silver and what they're talking about. Now we see it kind of did plateau around this $23, $24 range. It tried to break above. We saw it as high as $24.60 around there. But now we see the price falling. That is the 3-month chart. Let's look at the 1-month chart. And now you can see in the last month or so, prices have dipped pretty dramatically. I mean, we're talking about precious metals, not something like Bitcoin or stocks that are extremely volatile. But regardless, prices are falling. We have another article that's talking about why. So we're going to look at the technicals, look at the chart, the technical analysis, and then we're going to go into more of the economic activity that made this all happen. So let's jump into this. And before we do start, I want to mention this is not the end of the world. Anytime silver prices fall, people tend to get scared, maybe second guess or doubt themselves or think they made the wrong decision, or even potentially consider transferring their money or their silver into Bitcoin or maybe back to fiat. Don't do that, because I guarantee in the next couple of months it will go back up higher than 24. I mean, it goes up and down, up and down. You never want something to just go straight up, because then it's going to crash. It has to go up a little bit, down a little bit. These are called corrections. It's overbought territory when the price just shoots up to $24 when we've seen it at 18, 19. And that means it has to come back down so the price can stabilize. Anyways, let's look at this technical analysis. Silver has gapped lower in the futures contract kickoff Thursday session, showing signs of weakness yet again. And by doing so, it looks as if the market is trying to figure out what it wants to do with itself, as silver market is highly sensitive to risk appetite. So as long as there are a lot of concerns out there, silver is going to struggle, and especially if the US dollar starts to strengthen, as there is a huge negative correlation between the two markets. And yes, there is a direct negative correlation between the dollar index and silver and gold. When the dollar index is up, gold and silver is down, and vice versa. And the thing that bugs me about this the most is how it's based all off of speculation. There are a lot of concerns, worries, fear, uncertainty, doubt, assumptions, expectations. It's all based off perception, and most of that is fear-based. So people are investing emotionally. Invest with your head, not your heart. But when they're doing this, that means that it's basically a false price. It's a false market, because the price isn't going off of actual things happening in the economy. It's going off of what people think is going to happen in the economy. And then when those things actually do happen, then the price corrects back to, to what it should be. Just like when the week leading up to the FOMC meeting, everyone's speculating, how many basis points, or what's going to happen. What is Federal Chairman Jerome Powell going to come out and say? They're all assuming these things. And then when he comes out and says that thing, then the price goes to where it should be. And it's even crazier, because not even then it really should, because even Federal Chairman Jerome Powell is going to come out and say, we expect basis points to be cut XYZ, or our hope is, or our goal is by next year. So it's all just speculative. And with something as fundamental as precious metals, especially physical precious metals, it should be going off of fundamentals, supply and demand, not all this speculative BS that crypto and other things can go off of, because there's no intrinsic value within them. And I just hate that S word, which is speculation. Anyways, the 200 day EMA sits at the $22 level, and it's offering a bit of a barrier. If we were to break above there, it would obviously be a very bullish sign. Now, I would not hold my breath for something like that to happen anytime soon, and after all, the concerns about silver go far beyond just the US dollar and risk appetite. And yes, that's true, but that's not that's not to say that everything else is negative, right? There's a lot of positives in here as well. Actually, there's another article that I'll probably make another video on that are talking about some bullish patterns that are happening, but there's so much information I have pulled up on this computer right now. I got to break these up into separate videos, but regardless, it's not all bad. Just because the dollar index or the dollar strengthening doesn't mean that silver is just going to crash and that you're going to lose all your money. And that sounds funny, but some people might actually think that way. I mean, a lot of us are new. Now, because of this, there are a lot of concerns whether or not the impending recession could dampen demand for silver, which obviously means the prices would have to go lower. Now, that's a very bold statement or assumption to say that just because there's an impending recession that would dampen demand. I mean, demand is going to be rising regardless of the recession, just as China's reopening, which is the biggest consumer of silver. They're reopening this year. They consume the most silver. Then you have to look at the industrial side of things. There's a lot more to it than just saying that a recession. Yes, there are variables and factors in there to incorporate, but the larger scale, I don't think that would hurt too much. Yes, there is a direct correlation between silver demand and the price. If you look at a graph comparing the two, when silver demand is up, the price is up almost identically, and vice versa. When the demand is down, prices are down. But I don't see silver demand going anywhere anytime soon. If anything, it's going to be rising over the next 5 to 10 years as we advance in this new digital age. So then they go on to say, pay attention to gold because the two metals do tend to move in the same overall direction. It's also worth noting that we had sold off quite drastically from that consolidation near $24, and it's hard to believe that all the sellers have suddenly disappeared. So in other words, our rally is going to have fight through a lot of noise on the way back up. It looks like we're heading to $21 in the short term from what I can see. He actually did bring up a good point. Since people did sell at 24, that means they're definitely going to be willing to sell at a lower price. So that's actually a really good point. The sellers don't just disappear. If they're willing to sell at $24, of course they're going to be willing to sell at $21. So we do have to pay attention to these support levels. And if you don't know, resistance level is what it's trying to break above, and the support level is what it's trying to stay above. For example, there's a lot of resistance at $24 right now. And if it breaks above that, it could go into extreme overbought territory. Regardless, that's a resistance level. Support level is what it's trying to stay above. So it's trying to stay above this $21 level. And if it doesn't, then we could see prices fall back down to 18, 19, because that's where the last any type of stability was. And that's also why I say you don't want something to just go up, 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 because then it will crash, 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 because there hasn't been any time for the price to stabilize in between. So anyways, let's move on to the next article, talking about what's really happening. Silver fell as expectations of higher interest rates weighed on bullion demand. Silver yesterday settled down by 0.93% as expectations of higher interest rates continued to pressure bullion demand. Hotter than expected PMI data in the U.S. signaled that the economy hadn't slowed, backing forecasts about further fund rate hikes from the Fed. Tight monetary settings also hampered demand for the metal as an industrial input for goods with high electricity conduction needs, mainly reflected in the aggressive declines in solar panel equities. Still, low stockpiles of main commodity exchanges limited to the decline of silver. So, U.S. business activity unexpectedly rebounded in February, reaching its highest level in 8 months, according to a survey, which also showed inflation subsiding. Other data showed U.S. existing home sales dropped to the lowest level in more than 12 years in January, but the pace of decline slowed. Money markets expect the U.S. central bank to raise benchmark rates above 5% by May and remain above 5% through the year. market participants have been worried that the U.S. central bank will tackle a hotter than expected economy by increasing interest rates more than it previously anticipated. The IFO Business Climate Indicator for Germany increased to an 8-month high of 91.1 in February 2023 from a downwardly revised 90.1 in January compared to forecast of 91.2. So technically the market is under long liquidation, as the market has witnessed a drop in open interest by negative 5.3% to settle, and that's while prices are down negative 614 rupees. Now silver is getting support. Below the same could see a test of these levels, and resistance is now likely to be seen at that. They're not going in USD, so I'm not gonna go into that, but regardless, that's what silver's doing right now. I want to go back to the chart real quick, because if we let's look at like the 1-year chart. You see, when prices don't stabilize, you're going to see huge dips. And actually, if we could even back out a little more, let's go to like the 3-year chart. This is perfect, because we see silver down to $11 in March of 2020, right? This is important to note, by the way. So silver was $11 in March of 2020. That was right in the beginning of the pandemic, right? Everyone was freaking out and selling their silver at $11, and I'm telling people this is the cheapest you're probably going to ever get it again, and I can confidently say that, which was true. That was also when the gold to silver ratio was 125 to 1 around that time. Gold was $2,000, the highest price it's ever been still till this day. And that ratio is something we'll be reading about in history books. 125 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold. That's just insane. But regardless, the silver's price was $11. And then we see this huge rally. Silver was actually the number one performing asset in 2020. Crazy to think that $11 silver actually turned in to be the number one performing asset. It beat gold, it beat Tesla stocks, Amazon, it beat everything. Silver was number one. I think gold was number 5. But it went from $11 to $30 within a couple of months. Three months, something like that. So that was the Wall Street silver movement, obviously, right? Wall Street silver movement happened, then the price dipped. A lot of Wall Street silver investors panic sold right here, lost a lot of money, bought silver at 30, ended up selling down to at 22. A lot of them did stay, though. That was just, you could see where the people, they just hopped on the bandwagon real quick and said, oh, I made a mistake, I'm going to go back to GameStop and, AMC. But you see price stabilized for a long time. Right here, this was a critical point, because if prices, and they really didn't, if prices didn't hold that support level, or that support, it was going to get ugly. And I actually remember making a video right here saying, if prices do not pick back up, we possibly could be seeing silver back to $11 like we did, but it didn't, obviously. And now we see it trying to break above 24, 25 again. And if that happens, then we could see $30 in the near future, which a lot of people are actually predicting, especially looking at the charts. A lot of people are saying that this is a bullish signal. If you want to watch the next couple of videos I'm going to be putting up, I'll be breaking down why these signals look so bullish from people that actually understand charts and breaking down the technical analysis. So stay tuned for that. But regardless, I'm just saying all that to kind of give context for people who are newer, that you've been stacking for the last 2-3 years. Things have been crazy, but for someone who's been stacking for a decade, 2-3 decades, this is nothing, right? Just buy silver, throw it in your safe, and hold it. Don't pay attention to the day-to-day prices. It still is important to watch channels like mine, or a channel at least like mine, on a day-to-day basis, so you stay informed, right? Imagine there's some guy that sits on his couch, has no idea what silver's doing, has no idea what's happening in the market, or he just aimlessly buys silver. Then compare that guy to another guy who's informed every day, always paying attention, understands what's happening with the premiums of coins and why the US Mint's doing this, and understanding all that. Which one of those two people do you think is going to be more successful? The guy that's educated and informed, right? It's called a silver stacking strategy. This guy is strategizing. The other guy is just gambling, just throwing his money. I mean, at least he's putting fake money into real money, but still, if you're trying to invest and you're trying to have a silver stacking strategy, you're strategizing, and that's basing it off of strategic decisions based off information. And if you're not looking at the information, you're not really making any type of strategic decision, right? That's just gambling. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I just want to give a little context of what's happening right now with silver and why the prices are down. And no, I do not think they're going to stay down. Yes, the dollar might be strengthening, but we know that the dollar is inevitably going to collapse. So this is all just temporarily. We know inevitably what's going to happen. So don't doubt yourself. Don't worry. Just buy silver while there's a little bit of a discount for it. So all you got to do. And if you did want to buy silver at during this discount sale, I recommend Miles Franklin. Send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. It's also the pinned commenter in the description. Let them know Silver Slayer sent you. Andy Sheckman's the CEO, great guy, one of the most respected companies out there. They still work with the US Mint, which is saying something because nobody really can anymore since the US Mint banned everyone from buying directly from them. Only a few dealers can, and Miles Franklin is one of those dealers. And yeah, I mean, build a business relationship with them. Andy's a great guy. You can get to know him, which is one of the top dogs, which can be very beneficial. It's like buying from your friend compared to just some random online dealer that doesn't care who you are. You don't know who they are. Buying from Miles Franklin is different because we know Andy. I know Andy. He's on my channel every week. You could email me and I could hook you up with him, or I can call him for you if the problem ever arises, and he'll get to know you. It's a unique situation. I'm honored to be able to offer you guys that, where you can't really find that anywhere else. So yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.